The short answer portion of the AP exam is Part B of Section 1. It will have 3 questions and allow students 40 minutes to answer them. Some will have a stimulus, such as a quotation or an image. Short answer questions, unlike long essay questions, do not require the development of a thesis statement, but do need to be answered in complete sentences. The College Board's purpose in asking these types of questions is to broaden the assessment of the student's skills and knowledge. Each question consists of 3 tasks, and students receive 1 point for a successful response to each. So each question is worth 3 points. Each task tests 1 or more historical thinking skills. The short answer question on the AP exam consists of 9 total questions. Students will only have 40 minutes to answer all 3 questions. In answering the questions, students must use complete sentences. Lists or bulleted responses will not be scored. No thesis is required, so make your answers short and specific. For every correct response, you receive 1 point, for a total of 9 points possible. To get credit for your response, you must provide historical evidence and an explanation. The first reasoning skill the AP exam might ask you about is comparison. There are 3 possibilities on how they could ask questions about comparison. First, they could ask you simply to describe the similarities or differences between the developments or processes. Secondly, they could ask you to explain relevant similarities and differences between specific developments and processes, and that could be a little more broad. Or, instead of just the similarities and differences, they could ask you to explain the relative historical significance or importance of a similarity or difference between different historical developments or processes. The second reasoning skill is causation. There are several ways the AP exam could ask you causation questions. First, they could just simply ask you to describe a cause or effect of a specific historical development or process. Another way they could do it is by asking you to explain the relationship between different causes and effects of a specific historical development or process. The third way they could ask you is by asking you to explain the difference between a primary and a secondary cause, or the difference between a short or a long-term effect. They also could ask you to explain how a relevant context influenced a specific historical development or process. So you're talking about contextualization there and how that influenced a certain historical event. Finally, they could ask you to explain the relative historical significance or importance of a cause or an effect. The third reasoning skill is continuity and change. Like the other skills, they could simply ask you to describe the patterns of continuity and or change over time. They could ask you to explain the patterns over time. They could give you an example of this would be they would give you a pattern and you'd have to explain it. Or, once again, they could ask you to explain the significance or importance of a certain specific historical development in relation to a larger pattern of either continuity or change. And we'll give you examples of that later on. Here's a brief summary of the short answer questions section of the AP exam provided by College Board. I will go over each type of question later in the presentation. Notice that questions 1 and 2 are required, but you have a choice between questions 3 and 4. Pause the video and review this chart. Remember to use the ACE strategy to answer each short answer question. A, or answer, means you answer what the question is asking. C, or cite, means you provide historical evidence to support your answer. E, or explain, means you provide an explanation of how your evidence supports your answer. Now I'm going to review with you the ACE strategy. The ACE strategy is a way to make sure you fully answer each part of every question. For each part A, B, and C, you'll want to use ACE. A stands for answer the prompt. Here you're going to make a claim. You must answer the question. What does the question ask you to do? Are you looking for argument interpretation, causation, comparison, or continuity and change? The strategy we want you to use here is we want to use the prompt to develop your answer. Create a beginning sentence using the question itself. Then add in your claim as the answer. So reword the question and make the answer. C stands for cite evidence. Here you're supporting your claim. Use specific examples, vocabulary, without quoting sources. The strategy here is you're going to use one of the following stems to make sure you include specific examples as support. Typically in the cite portion you would say, for example, and then give the vocabulary term, and then explain what it is. You could also say one example of this was blank, which led to blank. E stands for explain. This is the connection and finishing the answer. You must answer the question, how or why does your evidence support your claim? The strategy I want you to use here is you're going to use one of the following stems to make sure you include a strong explanation. As a result, blank, or this suggests that blank. Grading SAQs is very simple. It's all or nothing. You either accomplished the task or you didn't. Question 1 on the SAQ section of the AP exam will ask you to analyze a secondary source. It will give you a short excerpt from two different historians. The historians will provide two different perspectives on a major historical development or process. You must read through each excerpt and determine what the topic is and what their perspective is. A will ask you to explain how their perspectives are different. Make sure to mention both perspectives to get the point. B and C will ask for evidence to support each historian's perspective. Pause the video and attempt to answer A, B, and C. Read through this possible answer for question A of this short answer question. We provided a full ACE here. Pause the video and read through the answer. Here is a second possible answer for letter A. Pause the video and read through the explanations. Here is a third possibility for an answer to letter A. Pause the video and read through the response. Here is a possible answer for letter B. Pause the video and read through the response. Here is a potential answer for letter C. Pause the video here and read through the answer. Question number 2 will test one of the historical skills using a primary source. Usually the primary source is an image, cartoon, or graph. It will ask you to use either causation, comparison, or continuity and change to answer each part of the question. For example, this question asks for a cause in letter A, an effect in letter B, and another effect in letter C. Pause the video and attempt A, B, and C. Read through this possible answer for letter A of question number 2. Pause the video, then move on. Here's a possible answer for letter B of question number 2. Pause the video and read through the response. Students will get a choice for their third SAQ on the AP exam. They will be presented with two non-stimulus questions from two different time periods. Non-stimulus means there will be no document or excerpt to analyze. Students must use their historical knowledge to respond to the questions. Question 3 will be from periods 1 through 5, and question 4 will be from periods 6 through 9. Students are only required to answer one of these questions. Like number 2, this question will use one of the 3 historical skills. However, it will be a different skill than the one used in the previous question. For example, since sample question number 2 was causation, questions 3 and 4 will either be comparison or continuity and change. Pause the video and attempt A, B, and C from either question 3 or question 4. Now that we've gone through the SAQ, do you have any questions? If you do, please contact me and I'll be sure to answer as quickly as I can.